My name is Marvin White, and I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. Today is my 38th birthday. I decided that it's time to share some of my stories. Well, I don't know how this is going to come out. Kind of afraid of how it's going to affect me, but this is what I feel I need to do. So a little background. When I was a kid, we moved every 4 years because I was a preacher's kid. So we moved every 4 years, and then when I turned 15, I joined the volunteer fire department and volunteer rescue squads, two different departments. And I suffer PTSD from two different things. One is a first responder PTSD. The second is sexual assault PTSD. I don't really know where to start, so I'll start with where I feel most comfortable. I'll talk about my first responder PTSD. I've seen more than most people should ever have to see in their life. And most of it was when I was very young. I joined the fire department volunteer rescue squad when I was 15. I ran some really bad calls before I even turned 18. The ones that jump out to me, and I want to try to keep this video short and watchable. The ones that jump out to me are July 4th weekend 1994. There was a Suburban full of people traveling from New York City down to who knows where. They didn't make it there. I was running as a volunteer firefighter, and it was a wreck on the interstate. I worked a stretch of the interstate that was very deadly, especially for the miles traveled, I guess you'd say, or lean miles. It was very deadly stretch of the interstate. So anyway, it's July 4th weekend, so we're getting our calls of accidents, and they all tend to run together. I don't really remember the call before or the call after this one. This is the one that really I think about nearly every night. We get a call of overturned vehicle, unknown injuries, unknown entrapments. That's how it rolls in this location. So we get there. It's a black SUV overturned. It's evident that it's overturned multiple times. When we get out, we start triage. I don't even know if we called it that back then. It was 1994. And one of the first things we see is severed head of a young kid. Didn't know at the time. He was 3 years old, but his head was detached from the rest of his body. The rest of his body was many yards away. He had a cousin that was traveling with him. I believe he was 9, and he had bilateral femur. Both femurs were shattered in half, and he was screaming to death. Bad words, I guess. And then basically there was 5 or 6 people, maybe 7 people in that Suburban. Nobody was wearing their seatbelt. Even the 3-year-old wasn't in a child seat. And the driver was the only one that lived. It was really nasty wreck. There's not too many nights I don't think about that 3-year-old head looking at me. So that's a pretty rough one. Then when I was working for a major city, in their EMS system, they have excellent response times. It's a really good system. But one night we were called to a kid who possible drowning. This is not the best part of town. It was in the apartments, low rent apartments, or Section 8 housing, whatever you want to call it. We get there, there's a kid in a bathtub. I'm having a really hard time remembering his age. I'm very young, 4 or 5, maybe 6. I was very young as well, although I do know I was 21 by this time. So we get there, the kid's still in the tub, underwater. We pull him out. I was an EMT at the time, and had a paramedic with me. We pulled him out, we started CPR, he intubated him, suctioned him, tons of water. And, as we do CPR, his body starts to stiffen up, and anybody that's in the EMS medical field knows that that's a really bad sign. That means he's been down a while. But that doesn't really matter. You work it till you get to the hospital, no matter what. So, I helped do CPR for a while in the back of the ambulance, and then we drive to the hospital. We get him to the hospital. The hospital continues CPR, and they roll him over, and they check his back, and there's blatantly obvious signs of sexual assault. And that one hurts real bad to talk about. So, another thing, and this is probably pretty unique, first responder PTSD, is that same system, the same big city EMS system that has a really good system of great response times. I worked the 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift, so we saw it. If it happened in the city, we saw it. Whether it was car accidents, shootings, stabbings, whatever, we saw it. It was nothing. It was we worked every other weekend, so it was nearly every weekend. Every other weekend, you worked shootings. You got used to shootings. But I remember one sticks out in my head. We get a call to a scene of a shooting. Get there, the guy's laying on the road. I woke up to him, start assessing him, ask him if you're okay. I said, hey man, are you doing all right? He answers me, he says, am I gonna die? I was like, oh man, not today. We here, we got you. We're gonna get you to the hospital. They're gonna take care of you. And he's like, man, I really think I'm gonna die. I think I'm gonna die. Which, again, if you're in the medical field, that's a pretty bad sign. So we're treating this guy. He's got several gunshots to the chest, abdomen, and he asked me again, do you think I'm gonna die? And I look him in the eyes, knowing that there's like no chance he's gonna even make it to the hospital alive. But look him in the eyes and have to tell him, yeah man, you're gonna live. This is nothing. They're gonna fix you up with this. And then so we get him in the back of the ambulance. We drive to the hospital, and of course you open up the back of the doors and he's gone. They're doing CPR. My medic's intubating him. And I know a lot of people say don't lie to your patients like that, but this guy, he was dead. He was just talking. And there was no reason to tell him that. It was no reason for him to have to suffer, to think that it was over for him. He needed to have whatever moments he could have without thinking about him dying. So that's not enough. There's plenty more stories for the PTSD, but I don't want to sit here and have a pity-patty party about myself or what I did, for things I volunteered for. I think it's time to move on to things I didn't volunteer for. So when I was 4 years old, my oldest brother, I don't have much love for him still today. But I have two brothers, one I love to death and one I care to never see again. But anyway, the oldest one, the one I really never care to see again, he had some friends down the road. I was 4 years old, which meant he was 4 years older than the other brother, and I'm 4 years younger than him, so he's 8 years younger than me. I was 4, so my older brother was 12. He had friends that were 12 to 16 or 17. I was with them, with my oldest brother, down at his friend's house, and one of his friends comes out of the room, leaps over the couch, and in a Superman uniform. I won't call it a costume because back then I didn't know what a costume was. If you you're young, you believe a lot of things. So, he told me that it was Superman and that, I could be Superman too if I went into there and helped, did things he asked me to do. I'm 4 years old. Yeah, dude, I want to be Superman. Of course I want to be Superman. So, we go in there, it's a bedroom. I don't think anything, looking back on it, wow, warning sign, but, 4-year-olds don't know warning signs, right, whatever. So then he's like, well, all you gotta do is put my penis in your mouth, him put his penis in my mouth, and, you'll be Superman. So of course I did what he asked, man. I want to be Superman just as much as the next guy. And he does, his business, whatever. Finishes. I really don't know how to say it without being super graphic. I remember it intensely graphically. But that's the only one time I remember, but I remember it like it happened yesterday. And I know these friends had come into our house many times. I've been to their house many times. I don't know if it ever happened before or after. I don't know. But I remember that time. I remember it clearly, plain as day. And that's something that really affects my life. I don't think about that every day. Not like I do that kid. But when I do think of it, it's rough. It's really rough to think about. And it's nice to talk about it. It affects me, my home life. It affects me sexually. It really affects me. And I fear the I was abused. So am I going to be an abuser? I don't have any urges or anything like that. But that thought's always in the back of your head, because that's all you ever hear. Take just a second. There's some people walking by.
We didn't want to be in your background.
Oh, it's fine. Thank you, though. So I didn't explode emotionally like I thought I would telling you these stories. There's many more first responder stories. I was never, I was not in New York City during 9/11. I was a paid firefighter during 9/11. Every year that anniversary weighs heavy on me. I think it's just because I was a firefighter at that time, and we lost 443 brothers that day. It hurts. It hurts to even think about that. That's more. And I don't even know why. And sometimes I stress over that. I stress over why I get so tore up over an event I wasn't even at. But anyway, I say my name is Marvin White. I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. And I hope that this video will lead me to not even a cure. I don't care about a cure. I just want to be able to control it. I want to figure out a way to maintain it and manage it. And I just want to say that I would never ever have done this on video or anything or in person if it hadn't been for a couple weekends ago. I went on a rug march for Hike to Heal was the group I was involved with. They merged with Carry the Fallen, and that's a group that that's trying to bring awareness to suicide of veterans. Carry the Fallen, and Hike to Heal was trying to bring some awareness to the sufferers of PTSD from the first responder side of it. And there were some stories shared at that march that were very inspiring it made me realize that no matter how weird or fucked up you think your story is, there are people that can relate to it. You're not alone. I am not alone. If you're watching this video and you suffer from PTSD, you are not alone. And we will get through this together. So I'm going to do some more videos. I don't know about what or when. I've got other things that I've been doing over the last couple years that I want to talk about, but stay in touch. And if you're seeing this video, I really love you, and I hope it helps.